Hi everyone, this is Shelley Vail-Smith with Bright Spot Ed talking to you today about how to keep your project from failing. This is part of our series on strategy design and implementation, and our target audience is educators, but I hope that anyone who is implementing a project can find this helpful. Our previous webinar really talked about what strategy was, the different types of strategy, when to use those strategies. Today we're really going to be talking about the next step, which is planning. And strategy is not the same thing as planning. My current favorite example is what high school football teams do on Saturday after Friday night's game. They start working for the next week. They're analyzing film from their upcoming opponent. They're looking at strengths and weaknesses for both their team and the other team, and they're really starting to lay the groundwork for what becomes the actual plans, those X's and O's that become the plays that they will run the following Friday night. So that, in a nutshell, is the difference between the two, and they're very inextricably linked. And the strength of this plan really goes back to who's building it. We want to include the people who are going to be using it, especially in schools and organizations. And I encourage you to include those naysayers, because you need the person who's going to point out the flaws or the holes in your plan. And really the ultimate question is, does it reflect the reality? We have a lot of existing structures. We have goals and strategies and action steps, but I would encourage you to add this rule of thumb, which is to start with your cap. And you need to be clear, it needs to be actionable, and there need to be processes around communication and accountability. And mainly because clarity is so hard to achieve, and it's like beauty being in the eye of the beholder. Clarity is the same way. And so there's so many different perspectives that we really can't assume that people are seeing things the way that we are. And so searching for ways to communicate that, we really want to go back to, how do we even create our goals? And SMART goals are something that are widely used in continuous improvement plans, and there's nothing wrong with a SMART goal. It's a good thing, but I would encourage you to also look at the complexity and difficulty of those SMART goals. And Mark Murphy does a great job in his book, 100%ers, talking about hard goals, and really how unmotivating looking for a 2% increase in some goal is. That if we're really passionate about something, then our goal has to be hard. And so for us in schools, we don't want a 2% increase in the kids. They're reading at grade level. We want all kids reading at grade level. And so if we fail, then we probably are still further ahead than if we had not had an ambitious goal to begin with. The processes generally are the thing that fail in plans. And my solution to this is to make sure that you develop them before you implement. To begin with, making sure that you have dates on the calendar, and then also the commitment to actually holding those meetings where you are examining the data, you're looking at feedback, and you're deciding what's going well, what's not going well, and then making those needed changes, and really holding yourself and others accountable to what you agreed to do. Again, this goes to communication, where we really have to be purposeful in getting everyone that's on the team to understand, why are we doing this and what does it really mean? And if you think that gossip game that is represented by the little girl in the picture is not going to happen, I think that you are mistaken. And some ways that you can reduce that from happening is to upfront show people what examples of what you are wanting to accomplish, and then non-examples. And that really is something that we've used with students for a long time. and that's very helpful in these plans. And then also creating a repository of frequently asked questions, because you will oftentimes have new people joining your team that don't know the background and what has already been done with the rest of the group. One of my favorite quotes, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place, by George Bernard Shaw. If you have not seen our communication and how to get better at it presentation, you can do that on our website. I encourage you to do that, and it also includes a template for actually designing this communication plan. Accountability measures, and this again is such a huge part of a successful project. Getting everyone on the team to own this and really being clear about who's monitoring and reporting, looking beyond those outcome data and looking at process data. If we're looking at implementing a new reading program, looking at how many teachers are implementing it, how many days a week, to what extent are they implementing it. And that really gives us a different level of data that is going to, in the long run, count more for the sustainability piece of it than just the end result. And that really goes to those leading and lagging measures, and making sure that the processes that you have to report data to everyone, and the sign in this slide where they've not bothered to update their sign is very typical of so many of our projects, because we get busy and we don't report back to people what the progress is. So what we know is that we're going to experience problems when we make any kind of change. So expecting that to happen from the beginning, and then getting the input of the people who are actually doing the work. And we have to be very careful so that this does not come down to a blame game. And I always think that it's processes, not people, that end up causing us the most problem, and having the mindset of adapting what we're doing as opposed to abandoning it. And so many of you are already dealing with the kind of leftover of failed initiatives where things didn't work like they were supposed to, and so we just give up. And so the next thing that comes along, instead of actually sticking with it and making it work, we just give up on it, and that becomes very tiring, and it also makes your organization less effective at doing anything well. I hope that this was helpful for you. We would love to hear from you and how we can be of help to you. We have webinars on our website and free resources for you, specifically the communication plan template. Check us out on social media. Thanks so much.